I'm not about to give up because I heard you say there's gonna be brighter days. There's gonna be brighter days. When I won't play wrong and right.
Welcome to Shaped by Faith. I'm Theresa Rowe. Today I have a very special guest in the studio today. His name is Sam Hardy. He is a celebration director for the Ohio Valley Will Graham celebration that will be taking place in 2015. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, Theresa. It's a great opportunity to be here and honor to be with you today.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to ask you, what is the Ohio Valley Will Graham celebration?
It's a good question, Theresa, to start our conversation off here today. The Ohio Valley Will Graham celebration is a cooperative outreach partnership between the churches here in the greater Ohio Valley area and the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association.
Okay. That answers it.
It does. It builds a foundation for our conversation that's going to unfold here this morning.
The next question to me is obvious, but I need you to answer it. Who is Will Graham?
Well, Will Graham is the grandson of Billy Graham.
Mm-hmm.
He is the son of Franklin Graham.
Okay.
He is a husband. He's a father. He's the executive director of the Cove, the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association's training center in the beautiful mountains of North Carolina. And most importantly, he's a former pastor with a sincere and genuine heart for the local pastor and for the local church.
So Will Graham is the one that will be coming to our community. Is that correct?
That is correct. That was the invitation that the Billy Graham Association received from your local churches and pastors, was for Will to come and do an evangelistic outreach here in the greater Owensboro area.
Now, Owensboro, Kentucky, right in the western Kentucky tip, why was Owensboro chosen to host this event, Sam?
We don't choose a location to go to, Theresa. We don't have a map on the wall and we throw a dart on it and say, wow, look, that's where we're going to go.
That'd be kind of exciting, though.
Well, that would be living extremely on the edge.
That's
and,
true.
And certainly, the world of ministry is on the edge enough. But what we do, we have communities all over the country that contact the association with an interest because their pastors have been coming together and their hearts have been knitting together for a genuine felt need in their community for revival, for evangelism, for discipleship. And leaders here in Owensboro, broad approach across denominations, reached out to the BGEA and asked if Will would be available to come. And this conversation with our organization started years ago. This is a several-year-old conversation. And I don't say that to make it like it isn't relevant for today and what we're doing here today,
Right.
But to just set some additional building blocks to what we're doing. We want to make sure that a community is ripe and ready for an outreach, and that they understand that what we're doing, what we do when we come into a community and partner with the churches, is not an event. We do have event dates on the calendar for next April, the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th of 2015, down at the Convention Center. We have those dates on the horizon. But we're engaged in a process with the local church. We work in and through and with the local church. We're not just setting up an event.
So some local pastors here contacted the association
That's correct.
and asked if they would consider coming to Owensboro. Wow.
Yes, and we had a development team member who came and started meeting with those pastors and denominational leaders and discussing what an outreach event that BGEA does looks like.
Right.
And is that a fit for what the community's looking for?
Now, I understand you just had a launch event that recently took place at the Convention Center in Owensboro. Do you want
Yes.
to talk about that?
Oh, yes. That was a great day. You were there, Theresa, so
I
you know
was.
how exciting it was. We had 60 churches represented at that launch from 10 different denominations, almost 200 people in attendance. Will Graham was here with us to formally accept an invitation to say thank you so much for inviting our ministry, for inviting me as an evangelist to come and share in your community and ministry. And it was just a beautiful time. I don't know. I'm not from Owensboro. This isn't my home, but I don't know the last time it might have been that 60 churches from 10 different denominations were together in the same room here in Owensboro.
Doesn't happen very often, Sam. I don't think so.
It doesn't happen in most communities that we're in very often, and so it's always exciting when we can launch with that type of dedication and commitment to the work that's ahead of us.
Sam, you are so passionate about what you do and bringing the love of Jesus Christ to the community. How did you become personally involved with the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association?
Yeah, I always I think it's an interesting story to tell. I hope others do as well.
We want to hear it.
I was serving as an associate pastor in a church near St. Louis, Missouri. And that pastor knew that I was looking for something full-time. It was a part-time role. And God had provided that particular opportunity for me to serve in the kingdom at a time when I was even reluctant to be a youth pastor. I didn't want to be labeled as a youth pastor. And here today, I have such great love and affection for youth pastors and their commitment to serve. But I took an opportunity, and literally days after agreeing to serve in that church, that pastor was on a team, an executive leadership team, like you sit on the leadership team for the celebration here. That pastor sat on a leadership team that had invited Billy Graham to come to St. Louis in '99 for a crusade.
Oh, okay.
And he knew that I was looking for something full-time, and he said, hey, here's a list of jobs that are going to be hired locally in St. Louis. Maybe you'd be interested in one of them. Now, he didn't know that was going to cause him to lose me as an associate pastor in a year, because I did get an invitation to join the ministry in a continuing capacity after that work for Mr. Graham. So that's how I got involved, by honestly being willing to take an opportunity that God was placing before me, even though it kind of sounded like something that I didn't want to get pigeonholed with, or, just being willing.
What an awesome opportunity. And look at you now.
Oh, yeah. Look at me now, Theresa.
If you could see Sam in action, you just make me smile. I'm sorry, but you just make me smile. You're full of the love of Jesus. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, it spews out of you in a room. And I love that. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the upcoming events that we have. We talked about the celebration that's coming to the Convention Center in April of 2015.
Right.
Now, on the morning of November 4th, there will be a pastor's conference. Who is that event for? And tell us a little bit more about it and what's it about, and what's going to be covered at the event.
One of the things that we started talking with the local leadership team that formulated and was nominated and put in place by pastors and a steering team was a need to feed into the community. So much of what we do, we're in this investment into the community, is training and raising up laypersons, church attenders, members. And sometimes it's easy to forget the pastor. We want to focus on their army, of workers. And we felt like as we pulled back here, as we were setting our schedule of events and our training opportunities, we really felt like it was important for us. And you as local leaders expressed to us how important it was that you felt we do something for the local pastors. And so we started just pushing around different concepts and ideas of what that might look like, and we settled on doing a pastor's conference. And that is on Tuesday, November the 4th at Bellevue Baptist Church.
Okay.
It's open to all senior pastors.
All right.
Regardless of denomination.
Yes.
Let me be really clear about that. And it runs from 9:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon. So 9:30 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon. We'll take a little lunch break. We'll have a couple of other breaks built in there. But we've engaged Ron Hutchcraft, who is a longtime ministry friend of the BGEA. In fact, when we were trying to decide on who it was that we would want to come for this pastor's conference, I made a call to Will, because Will runs our training center in Asheville, and I said, Will, who are you using right now in curriculum for the year at the Cove that's speaking the most into pastors' lives, that you feel like just has a really good hard read on what pastors need right now? Yes, to challenge them, but more importantly, to encourage them. And he put a short list together really quick as we were on the phone, and one of those persons was Ron Hutchcraft, and that was on my list. And so Ron is coming on Tuesday, November the 4th, to share with pastors how they can make their church a life-saving station.
How awesome for pastors. We're going to take a break, but we're going to pick right back up with the Pastors Conference, okay, when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Shaped by Faith. My guest today is Sam Hardy, the Celebration Director of the Ohio Valley Will Graham Celebration. Sam, in the last segment, you talked about the Will Graham Celebration coming in April of 2015, and you started to talk about the Pastors Conference. So we're going to pick up right there where we left off. How does the Pastors Conference tie into the Will Graham Celebration?
Well, Theresa, it's the first of several mobilization events that we have unfolding the first week of November.
Okay.
So that pastors conference is a reach out to local pastors to bring them into this process, get them up to speed as to what it is that we do, how their church can benefit, get plugged in, how their people can get training, get plugged in, how the community can be impacted very broadly.
Okay.
Okay. That pastors conference will run during the day for senior pastors only, but a special addition that we ask Ron to hang around for the day with us is an evening session that's open to everyone, wide open to the public.
Okay.
Everybody's welcome. So Tuesday evening, November the 4th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m., again at Bellevue Baptist Church. Ron will be back, and he's going to talk to all of us about how we can live a life that really matters. How do we make the most out of the rest of our life? How can we make the greatest possible difference with the rest of our life? And I don't know about you, but I know I need that.
Oh, I do need that. Yes, we all do.
We all do. We all do. We all need opportunities and moments to just do a double check.
Yes.
You know, am I on the right track? Am I doing what the Lord wants me to do?
And it's nice to be encouraged and to be motivated and to have that freshness, you know, and just to be reminded of who you are in Christ, that you're here for a reason, you're here for a purpose.
Yes.
And what is that purpose? So, this is great for everyone. So children also, or teenagers?
Well, certainly teenagers up because, you know, the information that Ron's going to be sharing with us, the challenge that he's going to be sharing with us, will be much more geared to those age groups that are perhaps either just beginning to wrestle with, or as those of us as adults who've been wrestling with it for a long time. I really want to make the biggest difference I possibly can with my life. So many people are searching for their place, their fit, their way to serve the kingdom.
You're absolutely correct.
And so this is a great opportunity for folks to help shape that thinking and peel back some layers of conversation that make them delve a little deeper in what they're doing and why they're doing it. So the Pastors Conference is the kickoff of those mobilization events, and senior pastors who have not RSVP'd yet for that event can do that by calling our office. We do have an office set up here in Owensboro, and we've got staff working that office. They can call the office at 270-240-1014. And they can speak with one of our office staff members to take their RSVP, or they can do it online on our website, ohiovalleycelebration.org, or they can email it to us, ohiovalleycelebration@bgea.org. There is no RSVP required for the evening session. Just come.
Okay, just come. Now, on November 6th, you will be holding this special dinner for student workers.
Correct.
Right? So talk about how important it is for youth pastors to be involved in this celebration.
Yes. Well, first of all, Theresa, thank you for clarifying, because often folks will think, student workers, that's students that we want to come who work in student ministry.
True.
But you called it like it is. It is for youth pastors or adult student ministry leaders, persons who are responsible for student ministry in a church. It's an opportunity for them to come along in this process and learn about the student track that we have, that we unfold for student ministries. A lot of people don't realize that we make a significant investment into the youth of this community.
Yes.
And one of the most exciting things that we get to do is a 3-week curriculum with students as a part of our Christian Life and Witness course.
Wow. So that's going to take place, right, along with all of this?
Yes, it is. That's in March.
Okay.
So that's off in the future. But we need to engage these student leaders now to help them find a place in their schedule where they can either lift some things or rearrange some things or have advance notice to get plugged into this process as to when that training is going to be in March. And we'll discuss that training with them. We'll also discuss with them other tools that the student track includes: prayer components, outreach components. So whether that's physically helping others in need, and we'll talk about what that looks like at the dinner, but also helping students become very aware of their family and friends that don't know Jesus. You know, one of the things that I always say, Theresa, in this work that we get to do, our responsibility in reaching those that don't know Jesus is not the people that we don't know. It's the people that we do know that don't know him. That's who we're responsible for. So many people are willing to say, well, you know, the work of evangelist isn't my thing. That's not what I'm called to do.
Right.
Well, we are all called to evangelize.
We are.
Those were Christ's parting words to us.
Don't you think it's kind of challenging to speak to our own family members, Sam?
It's very challenging, and that's the beauty of all of this curriculum that's built for students, and that's why we want to lay it out for student workers so that they understand we're going to help students, and we're going to help adults as well, because there's a whole other set that's going to unfold for adults, a whole other set of classes for adults. But we're going to help them begin to unpack and realize how simple it really is to share their faith.
And you know, don't you think it's sharing your story, Sam?
It sure
Gets
is.
people's attention. Look what God did for me, and this is where I was. We all have a story to share.
We all have a story to share. You're absolutely right about that. And that's what we're responsible to do. Share our story. Talk from what we know, not about what we don't know.
Right. Given Will's age, he's in his late 30s, do you think that he appeals to a younger generation than his father and grandfather?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, Billy Graham got his start many, many decades ago in working with Youth for Christ. And so he was very engaged in youth movements decades ago. And Franklin has always had a heart for reaching a younger demographic. And that has been very clear in the last 5-6 years of our ministry's efforts in the types of events that we were doing, the type of outreach that we were engaged in communities. Rock the river, rock the lakes, rock the mountains, rock the range, all of that kind of stuff. Will has a temperament that I think is uniquely Will.
Yes.
Just uniquely Will. You've met him. You've had an opportunity to spend a few moments with him. And so I would be reluctant to say, well, he's, different from his father in this way or different from his grandfather in this way. Will has a temperament that he cares about everybody who doesn't know Jesus. Everybody that doesn't know Jesus. And he has such a calm, easy demeanor about himself.
He does.
He's able to engage and connect with anyone of any age. So to answer that question, do I think he perhaps appeals to a younger generation? I would say yes, he does. Not necessarily any different than what Mr. Graham did in his day or what Franklin did or does. But it's Will. It's just who he is and his calm to engage anyone.
And you're absolutely correct. When he walked in the room, there's a calmness and there's a peacefulness about him. There's a confidence that only comes from God about him as well, and it's a humbleness. And everyone that I have met with the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, Sam, is the same way. When you guys first came into Owensboro and we met at Colby's as a team, all of you carry that with you, and it's just remarkable and amazing. And I think it's contagious. And I think our community we'll catch it. I really do. We probably need to wrap things up. Are there any other information you want to give before we close?
Same instructions for RSVPing for the Student Workers Dinner. Important to kind of wrap this segment up with that.
Okay.
So folks can RSVP by calling our office, 270-240-1014, or online at OhioValleyCelebration.org.
Thank you, Sam, so much for being on Shaped by Faith.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.